everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corrine Sandifer, your host. Each week I interview a business owner or an author, and we chat about business building tools and best practices. We also discuss topics that we can all relate to, such as work-life balance, living with intention, and dreaming big. As these women share their stories with us, it's my hope that you will be encouraged to live out your own story. Today on the show, I have the privilege of interviewing one of the best directors in film, television, and videos. But before we begin, I want to make sure you are connected to Rising Stories Podcast. So make sure you hit the subscribe button on iTunes and Stitcher to get the latest episodes of the show. Also, the best and fastest way to connect with me is on Instagram or Twitter. I love hearing from you and who you think I should have on the show. So if you have any suggestions or you just want to say hello, message me on either of those. I'm at Corrine Sandifer on Instagram and on Twitter. Now on to my guest. Years ago, I found myself watching this cooking show on YouTube. Little did I know that she was also an amazing director. She began her career directing music videos for acts such as Hanson, Bangles, Brittany Spears, Depeche Mode, and the Beastie Boys. Side note, she married Mike D of the Beastie Boys back in 1993. Tamra Davis has since directed feature films such as Billy Madison and Half Baked. Now you will find her directing for TV on shows like Grey's Anatomy, Ugly Betty, and my two favorites, Odd Mom Out and Younger, just to name a few. Listen as Tamra and I discuss women directors and how she is on a mission to help empower women in authority positions. We also talk about some of the talented actresses she has worked with on these shows. I'll tell you, every morsel of this interview is priceless, and I can't wait for you to hear her story. Here is my conversation with Tamra Davis. Hi, Tamra.
Hi.
Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much.
I have to tell you, I'm a big fangirl of yours. I looked back and I noticed that I have been watching you or found you in 2009, which is a long time ago.
Wow.
And
That's so cool.
I have been watching your YouTube. I don't know how I found your YouTube videos on cooking, but I mean, you're the reason why I make like quiche and frittatas, and I wasn't afraid. I'm not afraid anymore of making pumpkin pie. You just made it seem so easy.
That's awesome.
And I'm sad that I haven't seen your kids grow up. All of a sudden I see your kids on Instagram, maybe a glimpse of how big they are. But when they were tiny and they were sitting on the counter, it was the most precious thing, and their little feet and little hands putting things in. And I was like, I want to be like this. I want to be able to cook with my kids. And I did. And so I had one little one when in 2009, well, I guess he must have been 8. So he wasn't that little, but, and my girl was much older, but they're 8 years apart. So now he's 16, and he does like to cook. Not very often does he cook, but I think he likes to piddle around in there. But I remember seeing your kids growing up.
Yeah, my oldest is 14 now. I have a 14 and a 12-year-old. So yeah, they're getting big.
Yeah. And you guys are in Malibu.
Yes, we moved to Malibu full time, and yeah, no, that's so cool. I'm so glad that you know of me from my cooking show, which is kind of like an obscure part of me, but I love it. I come at it from, I'm a filmmaker, and I used to do music videos, and then I started directing movies. And when I became like in my mid to late 30s, I was like, oh my God, I got to have a baby. If I don't have a baby now, I'm never going to be able to have a baby. So I stopped working, and I gratefully got pregnant. And then when I thought I was going to go back to work, I got pregnant again. And so I had 2 babies, and I was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm a mom. Like I can't do anything right now. Like, I'm a mom. And I still, as much as I loved the identity of being a mom and everything about it, and I immersed myself in the world, I also still wanted to be a filmmaker. And I realized like that I had all these good recipes, and that's the best part of cooking. And, you know, you want to share them. If you come across if I come up with a really good pumpkin pie recipe, like I was able to make these little videos so I could film. I did it all myself. I filmed them myself. I edited them myself, and then I put them online myself. I did it all. And it was kind of this really liberating way of filmmaking where, and then I'm in them with the kids as well. And so then I was like, it made me still be a filmmaker when I put the kids to bed at night. Mm-hmm. I could like be a filmmaker again. And it really gave me a lot of, confidence that all I needed was a camera and a story, a camera person and a story. And I could do it.
Yeah. And what a great outlet. And, you know, what's funny is I think you were pioneering in that because there's so many moms that are doing that now.
No, I was like super early on. Mm-hmm. I think I remember when I was doing it, I got on all the top like mommy blogs and stuff. And it was probably because there weren't that many at the time, you know, it was just, and I was friends, I'm still friends with Gwyneth, and Gwyneth Paltrow, she was doing that. We kind of like started it around the same time. And what I found so fascinating and interesting is, one, I kept thinking like, if I keep putting so much effort into this, it's going to turn into something. And in actuality, it was still really hard to figure out what the business model was in that world. Like it was really hard to figure out how to monetize that and make it into an actual career. And I went back to doing filmmaking, and I'm so proud of her because she figured out a way to turn that emerging market into something. But it took a lot of effort, a huge amount of effort.
Yeah. You're speaking of Gwyneth and how she turned it.
Yeah, Gwyneth and Goop. Yeah.
And
but if you look at like the first, I think I'm like her 5th article or something, because we were all part of this, you know, these entrepreneurial women who now had babies, and we were like, oh my gosh, what do we do? We just last week we're sitting in a room with, you know, at a conference table and, you know, professional. And now here we are singing nursery rhymes, you know, crisscross applesauce style.
Yeah.
How do we do it? So, it was early on in that.
Well, that was interesting because I did see an amazing thread, whether it was intentional or not intentional or just subliminal, but I did notice a thread that, I mean, I knew you were more than, I know that's terrible to say, but more than just a mom. Not that we're just, you know, mom. No one's just a mom, but I knew that there was something else, and I noticed that there was that you had a life beyond the cooking show.
right.
And but just I loved how you had women on the show, and you did, you know, just like Leilani, the whole tacos thing.
Oh yeah, that was
and
so
then the
fun.
frittata, and that lady was, you know, I don't know what her name was. I can't remember, but just
Susie. Yeah, Susie. You realize like your girlfriends have like amazing recipes. Like almost all of your best friends has at least 1 or 2 good recipes, and even just that fact of like sharing that recipe was such a great thing, and also so good for us as, you know, whatever. It's a really great bonding thing. And another thing with being a new mom, it's hard to get, like, I would get lots of accolades with my work. I did work and people loved it and audiences loved it, and I would get like that. And to get that in your home life is really hard. But I realized that if you cooked something that was really good and somebody took a bite of it and they said how much they liked it, you get the same endomorphin, dopamine, I'm happy, thank you, people. It happens even in delivering a lovely dish to somebody. And so I was able to continue my cheery state in that crazy mommy world with, you know, finding these ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you wrote a
and
cookbook.
Like you said, it's a
go ahead.
I did that. I was just going to say also it was a great, I can look back at it and I cannot believe it's such a great like photo album of my children at that time,
Yes.
which is just indispensable. But
Yes.
yeah, I learned how to publish a book. That was also, I was like one of the earliest self-publishers as well. Like my girlfriends were in the publishing industry, and I was just like, I'm just going to publish it. Like, you can do it. I can upload a book. And like, I had a friend, Vanessa Holden, helped me do my book and my cover. And like, I'd worshiped her. She was a mom that I met in Tribeca. I was living in New York, and our kids were playing together. They were in the same classroom at the public school out there. And I was like, oh my God, you're Vanessa Holden. And like, she thought, I was like, she could have been like the biggest celebrity to me, but she had created this look I was in Australia, and Donna Hay Cookbooks is like a real style there. She's kind of like the Martha Stewart of Australia, but it's this beautiful, clean, fresh look. And Vanessa Holden was, she created that look. And now she's working in the US. I mean, God only knows what she was doing. She was like the head of some magazine now. Like, she's super big. And she helped me out like mom to mom. I think I taught her a recipe, and she taught me how to do an Adobe photo, my book cover. So it was really cool. So I wrote a book. That was cool. I wrote a couple books. That was really awesome.
Okay. What's the one I was thinking of is Make Me Something Good to Eat.
Yeah, and then I made another one called My Favorite Things. It's also still like, I'm sure that you can dig one out on Amazon I'm pretty sure they're still on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, I did a couple of things. I did one that we kind of started after I did that. I worked with a girlfriend and got involved with Mario Batali, and I started to try to really cook in schools. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of led me into like another kind of a thing, and I became very passionate and an advocate for nutrition. And I realized what I was trying to do is I was trying to show like moms how easy it is to cook a healthy recipe. And you can't use that excuse like, I'm so busy being a mom or whatever. Like, I tried to show a way that this is how a busy mom works. And if you're watching your kids, just stick them up on the counter and get them involved. And I found something like an amazing statistic, which was if a kid makes the recipe, they're 90 to 99% more likely to eat it. So I was like making carrot soup in schools with kids, and they would eat the carrot soup and they loved it because they made it. So, or they'd make a salad, and it was this amazing experiment in getting kids to do stuff for themselves. Rarely in a classroom would we have somebody that wouldn't try it at least, and that was the thing that I always found being a mom is like, how do I get my kids to eat something good, or how do I get them to eat healthy?
I think that's a great thing. And, I always think of cooking as it's an art form to me, mm-hmm. and one that you get to eat and enjoy, which is doubly good. So I can see how those kids are like, if they make something, then they're proud of it. And they're like, yeah, this is great because I made it. Yeah. So
that really worked.
Yeah. But you did the cooking. You're just not a cook, but you're a mom. You're a whole bunch of stuff. Like your list. I didn't even get done with the IMDb list of what you do. It was just amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, she did the video Mbop by Hanson. I was like, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself. That was a while back, but I
know.
Those.
No, I did. Yeah, I did music videos. Then I did features. I kind of did like a decade of music videos, and I made about 150. And then I did 10 feature films. And then I had my babies, and then I started to do television. And I'm kind of like, I love television. I'm working a lot right now, and I love it. But I'm actually trying to talk about going back into doing features because my boys are, they're teenagers now. Mm-hmm. They don't need me as much as they used to. And even though they need me around and to know that I love them, but I think I might have the time to be able to go back into the feature world, which is just a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the shows, I guess I had maybe kind of lost touch. I mean, I hadn't, I'd watched all the videos that I could, like about 100 times of the cooking shows. Yeah. And I thought, cool. She's probably doing, I thought you were already doing features and I just hadn't caught it. But one day I was watching Odd Mom Out, which is one of my
I
favorite shows.
love. I
And I
know.
can't remember
She's so
who
good.
is the lady.
Jill. Jill
Jill.
Cargman. Yeah, she's amazing.
She is. I mean, genius. I just
Yeah.
think she's a great
And
actor.
hilarious. Yes, she was
Yeah.
really funny. I got that job. I had just done for the same production company. I did a TV show called Younger, which is also amazing with Sutton
Another one of my
Foster.
favorites.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're so good. Yeah, so I did like maybe the one of the first shows of that, and did I don't know, I did maybe 4 or 5 of those episodes. Then I did Odd Mom Out, and I met Jill, and she just was like, I just thought she was so unique and funny, and this was like she wrote a book, and now not only was she going to make the book into a TV show, she was the star of it, but she'd never really acted on television, so it was really fun working with somebody that was authentic and real and getting a real, and just making sure you were always getting that real take from her. She had such a great view of the world. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it, but writing and then being in the show and just the comedy
amazing.
timing that she has and the facial
She's great.
features.
I know. She's great because that's who she is, which was amazing. And, she was lucky enough and she surrounded herself with great actresses and actors. So, that really helps her out as well. Like everybody on that cast is so good, and her producers and writers and all that. But I think that that's her wheelhouse. And it was funny because when I met her, my first feature was with Drew Barrymore. So I worked with her and she was like 15 or 14, and we've remained friends, since, till now, of course. But somebody came up to me and said, like, oh yeah, Jill is connected to Drew. And so I was like, gosh, how weird. I wonder how she's connected to Drew. And then when I met her, I realized that she's Drew's husband's sister. And it all made sense to me of like, oh, that's why you come from this rich family, but you're this different person. And there's a sense of humor. And I don't know, it was just this family connection as well that I was really lucky to work with her. I had such a fun time.
Yeah. So part of that story is her story.
Yeah, that's her. That's like her in that world. That's why she has such a good, take on it. Yeah.
And I
I was just going to say, I just worked with Drew again in Santa Clarita Diet, which is hilarious and so bizarre.
Okay, I started watching that, and I can only get past the first episode. And I noticed that you were a director on there, and I thought, okay, I'm going to ask her how many gallons of fake blood do they use or whatever.
So crazy. It was funny. I know, like mine actually isn't really that gory. I know some of the earlier ones were kind of fun and gory, but I just loved what Drew did with that character and where she was at the time in her life and what she put into it. I thought that was really fun. And the people on that show were great. The actors insane. And yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think I'm so lucky to work with all these really fun people.
I'm going to I'll watch some more. I'll watch past the first episode and maybe I can fast forward the gory. I couldn't.
It's so funny. Like you just have to see it as, the producer, writer, Victor, he said, Tamra, don't look at it as, he goes, I want you to direct this like a romantic comedy. And I was like, oh. And in the end, that's really what it's about. It's about this relationship between the man and woman and what's going to happen in their, where does their relationship evolve to now that they have their teenage daughter is kind of already almost, on the way out, so it's about your relationship with your kids when you're about to become an empty nester. And also where does that take your relationship? And, I don't know. And when you start to look at it as a love story and as a family movie or show, it makes it so much better. Like, what are you willing to put up with? How, all these things are just really funny and interesting. And so I liked it.
Yeah, that's a great show. I was drawn to it because I like Drew Barrymore. She's amazing. And I do like Younger. I've been watching that. It's a great show as well. Very good cast. Excellent cast on that one.
Yeah, I'm so lucky I get to work with really cool, and especially this year, last year especially, I worked with a lot of good female projects, and that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. And so I brought you on because I was really, I know you love women and empowering women. And I felt like that was true. Like I said, I saw that in your cooking. I mean, there was one little episode where you were showing one of your friends who didn't know how to cook at all. And
I love that.
in New York, and how I felt like you really empowered her. You could
It's
see.
empowering. Yeah, I know. It was so interesting. You just realize, like, her and her husband, like, she never cooked at all. And instead of like going, like, judging somebody for never cooking, I was like, I wanted to show her how easy it is and open her up to the joy of it. I don't know. And it's just like, oh, whatever. You've never cut an onion. Who cares? This is how you do it. This is so cool. Or you've never made rice. Like, oh, let's show. It's so cool. It's two cups of water, 1 cup rice. Let's put a lid on it.
Yeah.
Fun with it. And it was fun. I love that. And I like accosted her husband in the morning to try to get his opinion of what is, because it kind of was sad to me. They only, they eat only to go food, and it's like, there's something really beautiful about serving a plate of food that you made and having that confidence. If you have a good recipe and, you can get confidence with that. And I don't know, it helps bond you as a family. And I think it's a great skill to have for a woman or anybody, man as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even I think I'm thinking this summer, because every summer I pick a couple of life skills that I want to teach my kids, and we work on them. Like, a few years ago, it was making a bed, doing laundry. Just that. And, I didn't go overboard. I didn't say, one a week or one a month. I just thought, I'm going to teach my kids how to read a map, or of course now they don't need it. That was a long time ago. But, this time I was like, I'm going to teach them how to, cook a whole meal and
awesome,
just survive, because they're going to go away to college, and, they're going to have to at least, make something, maybe when they get into an apartment or whatever, but maybe not in the dorm, but even just.
Yeah, that was that last cookbook I made. It was like each step had a photo, so it was really easy to follow. And I made like really simple recipes that you could make actually with just a hot plate in your dorm room, because I was making them portable in classrooms. And so I just felt like because a lot of times, even just recently, I was in Atlanta doing a show called Star, and I was living in a hotel room, and I had like a hot plate in there. And I was like, how can you cook a whole meal with like your hot plate or your crock pot or whatever? And it's a skill that we need to know. Otherwise, you're just spending money on crappy food, and it's really easy to do. So I really wanted to come up with that. And honestly, if I dug deeper in that world, that would have been one of my first cookbooks. Another cookbook would have been like fighting that freshman 15 and just like trying to come up with something that you could send your college kid away with, a cookbook and a really simple thing that they could do. And I'm really inspired by that.
Yeah, that is very needed. A cookbook for going away to college. Yeah. Something where they're not just eating junk food all the time.
Junk food. Yeah.
So, Tamra, who encourages you to keep going in your career? Is there a woman that a trusted voice that you look to?
It'd be so nice if there was. I mean, I would say that I have like a weird ability within myself that I'm very self-driven. Like, I'm working on a documentary. I just interviewed that woman who wrote, Angela Duckworth, who wrote Grit. And I took that test, like I'm like scored almost 5 point on it. It was like, I have a really weird thing of being very self-motivated. My mom was like totally like, whatever, encouraging. She was like the first era of women's libs. So then she raised me with that idea that I could do anything. But if anything, my mom isn't necessarily the type of like, whatever. I like kind of like that I succeeded that. Like, so I don't want to necessarily, my mom came from like secretaries. And so I wanted to really become somebody that advanced that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I have really amazing girlfriends that I look up to. And I just have this overwhelming it's not only that I love my work, I actually have an overwhelming desire to change Hollywood and to and I'm working in an industry that, if you looked at, I mean, the statistics are awful. Like, a woman just came out with a TED talk about how bad it is, and it hasn't changed for 50 years. And I mean, I really am in an industry that's, for directors, I mean, there's a lot of women producers, or, some other role, whatever, but there are not that many women directors. And I really want to continue to change that. And so I work with a mission, and I think that drives me.
Yeah, that's really good. So you're very self-motivated, and you've got you're out to change the world. You're out to change that part of the industry. That's awesome.
I am. Yeah. No, it's pretty amazing. Like, even any day I walk onto the set and, I work with maybe 200 people. It's nice that I can walk on the set and represent a woman, and represent a woman in an authority position, and also show how great it is to work with a woman in an authority position, and how my style, how it's different and inclusive and conversational and whatever. We work differently, and I think everybody works differently, but I think it's just giving people that image that it's a job that a woman could walk into, and we have to keep seeing that image to change it.
I love that you said that, because I think about Sheryl Sandberg and how she says, I'm emotional sometimes, but that's just part of me being a woman, and that's okay, because I'm a woman, but that doesn't have anything to do with her being able to do her job. So, like you were saying, you walk on the set, you've got all these people, and you work differently than maybe the next man next to you or whatever that's also a director, but that's the beauty of who you are and who you are as a woman, just like it's his and who he is. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, with guys in general, what they're amazing about, and I'm speaking, from reading books about brain science and men and women or whatever, that if you tell a man a problem, his first reaction is to solve that problem. He's just like, I'm going to fix that problem. I'm going to solve that problem. I mean, they're amazing at that. They have this skill that's just like amazing to solve it. And I think if you tell a woman a problem, I have to see what it says exactly, but it's kind of like, we want to first know why we have a problem, and we're going to try to solve the problem, not necessarily, we're going to try to figure out and communicate and figure out why we have the problem and solve it by looking at that as well. And so, I think we just come at things differently. And, like, sometimes it's okay to ask why you have that problem and try to figure out, instead of just like, well, I'm just going to, whatever. So it's different ways of solving things. And it's great that we have both, because we sometimes need both. But if we only have one, then we're living in a very unbalanced society and, world. So.
I agree. So on the flip side, how do you encourage women? What means, or what have you done or how do you encourage someone?
I love that. I mean, I try to have girls shadow me. So, like, there'll be a girl that wants to be an upcoming director. She'll come and watch me work, and, she'll sit with me, and I can give her advice or show her why I'm doing things. I'll work with new, like, talent. I'm working with a young girl right now who's just come out here, and she's a writer, and she's never written a script before, but she has an amazing story that I think she needs to tell, and I'm, like, developing it with her. And she's like, I hope I don't let you down. I've never done this before. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's your voice is what's important. You're the only one who has that story. So it's going to be authentic, that's all you really want when you're working on story and stuff. You want the authentic story. So, I think, like, I'll go to work and I'll have girls come up to me after the day, and compliment me on something that they saw me do, or just the fact that they see me there, it's an inspiration to them that it's, that there's somebody's doing that. So, that's like leading by example. But, anything I can do, and speaking out, doing things like this, like anything I can do to raise the dialogue and awareness, and anything I could do. Like I'm hopefully going to be working with Amazon, but I went and sat in, and met with all the Amazon people, and they told me that they were going to try to do it by 2017, but they're like, by 2018, they want to have 50% of their directors be women. Wow. And I was like, great. Like, I want to be one of those women. Mm-hmm. But not only that, like, if you have a woman that you're interested in, but she's never done anything, I can help her. If you want her to shadow me, or you want me to look over what she's doing, anything I can do to help, I would love to help.
That is great. And what a great time to be in this industry, in that industry, because I feel like, are there any non-working actors anymore? Because there's so many things going on. I love it. I mean, Amazon, you just mentioned Amazon is doing shows, and like Netflix, and I mean, everyone is doing these shows and series, and, and I love that.
Yeah, there's a potential. There is a lot of work, but TV, like when I was amazed that they let me do features. Like, that's kind of like, there's more women senators and congresswomen than they elect, they agree to have a girl shoot be the director on a feature. So it's really, really hard to land that title. And, I was lucky enough to have quite a few directing, but it was like trying to break into television. You realized it really is a world that it's a great opportunity. It's a great job. It's like you work 2 weeks, you make a lot of money, you work 3 weeks on a show, you can work very little and make an incredible amount of money. Mm-hmm. It's a job that has been pretty much dominated by white men since TV began. So the statistics on television, it's hard to get into. And I think that there's a lot of programs where they're trying to get girls to get into it more and more. And the more girls do it, the better it goes. But that's like, it's probably the same as, I was talking to a guy that's an architect. It's the same thing. It's like, it's hard to see a woman in that role, and we have to change that. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the best business advice someone gave you in doing what you do?
It's interesting because it always, advice really has to do with the situation so many times, but sometimes it's weird. A lot of times I've gotten somebody said something to me like the opposite, meaning like, I don't know if you should really continue because they're not really looking for women in their 40s to direct stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just looked at this person and was like, oh my God, like, who says that? Like, really? That's the story you're telling me? Like, that by saying that to me, you just put a fire under me, because I don't accept that narrative. Yeah. So sometimes it's the advice isn't like, of course it's like, don't give up, don't listen to them say no, because everybody's going to tell you no like a billion times. But it's sometimes like, no, I don't think you should do that because nobody does that, or it's not been done, or no, it's like that. Sometimes that I'm like the crazy person that like uses that as like, oh, really? Okay, now I'm going to do this.
Watch me. Yeah. Okay, watch me. Yeah.
And girls need more of that. That's kind of the lean in. That's like, well, women aren't really part of this. It's like, really? I don't think so. I disagree. And you give me one great reason why, let's see your evidence why it's not good. And if it's just because we haven't reached that because we've been denied that, that's not a good enough reason for me. So, yeah. So, I feel like, when I listen to advice, I'm a lovely listener. I think it's one of the best things in life. And so, sometimes again, like I had a woman tell me, I was like on a set. I was working with a DP that was giving me a really hard time, and he just was really slow. And when you're slow, you mess everything up. TV's very fast. And so I was like saying, come on, we got to go. And I probably was pushing him a little too much because he puts everything in jeopardy. When you have to have it lit in an hour and it took you 3 hours. Well, that means like, everything else the rest of the day is now messed up. I don't know how I fix that. Like I don't have those 2 hours. Like, so it just messes you up and it puts you there, you don't really have relief. It's not like there's somebody saying, well, we'll cut those pages. You have to still get it done. It's so, then the next day my producers came in and said, we're sorry, we will talk to him. You don't have to talk to him anymore. You don't have to rush him. We will take care of it. And I was so grateful. I didn't argue with them. I understood. I was like, thank you so much. And I didn't defend my position or whatever. I was just grateful that they decided they were going to step up and be the ones that talked to him because they saw that it shouldn't be my responsibility. And then I realized that the older woman producer came up to me and she was like, sometimes men have a hard time hearing a woman raise their voice. And I was like, I didn't raise my voice. But even the fact that like raising my voice even a little bit, like, hey, what's going on? Come on, we got to go. I was like, what? You're kidding me. Men have a problem with a woman saying that. And so would you call that advice? I was like, yeah, that's amazing advice, because I was like, wow, I didn't even think of me as a woman. I just thought of myself as somebody who's trying to get their job done. But now I see that, those 12 grips don't like to hear a girl's voice loud because it probably reminds them of something else. And I was like shocked, but I also realized like that's the world and I accept it. And I adjust. You hardly hear me now. I'll get my ADs to say stuff, but that happened. And I was like, wow, I really can't say stuff out loud. You can't, if he rushed that crew and he said, come on, let's go, he would be praised as a leader and whatever.
Yeah.
As a woman, we don't have that permission.
Yeah. It's the whole, it doesn't, it looks, for some reason they think it looks bad on us,
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, it wasn't for me. I have no glory in like, come on, let's go. I have a job to do. And if I go overtime or if I don't finish a scene, that's on my record, so
right.
Like and whatever, my show doesn't turn out as good. So I have to protect it. But now I just realize like, I'm the kind of person that like, what, the thing isn't painted right? Give me the paintbrush. I'll take care of it. But, I have to also really learn that, and I do, but he put me in a stressful situation, but you have to really learn to rely on the people around you as well and share that responsibility and, and just also, I don't know. But yes, I think advice is great, but, I read it all day long. I'm reading stuff and listening to stuff and, I get advice. I love it. I'm taking a debate class right now. That's been fantastic advice. Oh, wow. Yeah,
that is good. Where are you taking the debate class?
I do a lot of online courses. The great courses, nice. The teaching company. They're amazing. But the art of debate.
What? So tell me about your day. What's a typical day in the life of Tamra Davis?
Well, I have two very distinct days because I either have a day where I'm working or I have days where I'm not working. Mm-hmm. When I'm working, it's a very busy day. I wake up and have coffee, then I maybe try to get 10 minutes of exercise in. I get to work. I'm on like a 12-hour day basically from the time I walk in. So if you start at 7 a.m., you're done at 7 a.m. Then you drive home. And you work for another hour or two at home, and then you realize like it's 24 hours isn't actually that long because you have to really get to bed, and you have to turn it around, and you're back up again. So it's a grueling schedule when you're shooting. That's why as a mom, it's hard to do that for more than whatever. My kids can lose me sometimes for 5 days, 4 days, a week. They'll see me on the weekend, 2 weeks. But that's hard to really do on a feature where you're doing that for 3 months, when you have little kids, because then on the opposite, when I'm not working, I am like stay at home mom. I drive the kids to school. I drove them this morning to surf practice. I walk the dogs. I bake something, we're doing banana bread contests right now. Who's got the best banana bread recipe?
Yeah.
My kids are very excited about that. Yeah. So, I really mom it out. And I'm also replacing the motor in my cappuccino maker. And the dude was like, it has no YouTube thing. Can you do it yourself? And I was like, yeah. So it's like a part on my counter, this $30,000 machine where I'm trying to replace the motor. But it's like, I love that stuff.
I love that. I love your schedule. I mean, it sounds, very kind of similar to mine, although it's not just like compartmentalized. I mean, I don't work for 5 days straight or 2 days straight, but just, I do pick a few days here and there where, I know Friday my kids are going to be out of school. And so, I'm not going to do anything. I haven't scheduled anything, and I'm just going to be, at home and hanging out. And I like being able to do that. So I hear you. That's great. Well, so tell me, what 3 things are you absolutely loving these days? Something that you're telling your girlfriends, or you're just like, I can't believe this is awesome.
Let's see. I don't know. Like I definitely get into the current show I'm watching. I know it's totally inappropriate, but I know it was a book first, but my son and I are watching Big Little Lies. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
That HBO show. It's really good. It's amazing actresses. I love the performance. I love the director. So like, I really have been loving that lately. Let's see. My son, he had to read Fahrenheit 451 for school. So I just read that with him, and I really highly recommend it. If your kid is reading a book in school, to read it at the same time so that you guys can have conversations about it. And so I love that. Like, my other kid was reading The Outsiders. Now he's reading To Kill a Mockingbird. So it's really fun to go back in those classics and reread them and, have a dialogue with your kid about them and see what their reactions are.
Oh, yeah. That's good. And
then I don't know, like, I really also am very into my classes that I take, the teaching company. I'm on Audible, so you can download them with your Audible account, but there's also a great website where you can go on them. And I've been on a stint of brain studies. So there's so many amazing classes that focus on, whether it's logic or why we make decisions, or, the debate one that I'm doing now, or memory, or like deceptive mind. Like, there's amazing things to study about the brain that I've just have found so fascinating. And yeah.
How did you get into doing that? How did you fall into doing online courses?
My mother-in-law, Mike's mom, is, she was like the first person to get me into it. I guess she had like got them, and she was like on her exercise cycle, and she was like, oh, I know how you always like watching those documentaries. You would really like those courses. And, they're taught by the best professors in America. Like, the top professors teach a class, and, it's sometimes some of them are 30 lectures or 45 lectures. And, I just love it. I go on runs while I do it. Because I live in Malibu, I drive so far, and like, by the time I get to my meeting, I'm like smart. Like, I feel so amazing. I just took the whole time to do a lecture, and, I walk in and, I'm inspired by what I just heard that day. And I just find it really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
So your boys are still surfing?
Oh man, they're so into surfing. Yeah. The older one has always been like, I have pictures of him with cardboard surfboards at like 2 years old. Like, he came out of the womb like with a wetsuit on, basically. Aww. Like, he's so into it. And the younger one kind of goes in and out. Surfing's one of those sports that you don't push on a kid. They have to really be obsessed with it, because you're on a board in the middle of an ocean and you got to really want to be there.
Right.
And really want to get that wave and get excited about it. And so my younger one kind of goes in and out, and he's in a period now where he's also really into it. So it's, it's fun. It's nice when you have boys to have them do some sporty thing that they're obsessed with it. Like, I have a lot of friends that say, oh my God, how do you keep your boys off tech or video games or whatever? And I'm just like they have these sports that they do that they love. They wake up at 6 a.m. and go out to the ocean 3 days a week before school. They're so into it. So yeah, it's nice to have that.
Yeah, I just experienced that with my son. He was into the video games. I guess it was middle school, and he got into running, and he's a cross country and track runner. And he eats and sleeps and everything running. Like, he's changed his diet, and
amazing.
He eats a whole lot healthier than I do.
Yeah.
He's like, Mom, can you buy a thermos?
So
I need some organic soup. Can you?
It's amazing. That's so cool. And that's the thing that you realize being a parent is to just know your kids enough to know what they get excited about and be able to support their passions. And if you find your kid is like into this or into that, encourage that and like give them, instead of being like, oh, you're doing soccer and they don't really, they're not into it. Who knows who's into it? I don't know. I'm not going to pull those socks on you. Like, you've got to be the person that's like got the socks on, or you wake me up in the morning,
Right.
I just don't, I think forcing kids to do stuff that they're not passionate about is not, I don't know. I don't think it's going to help. I think that when your kid finds something that they're passionate about, if you can help them and do stuff with them that supports that passion, that I feel like a good mom. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any more cooking videos? Can you do one more?
I know. I wish, sometimes I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to do something with Instagram, because I'm on Instagram and I tried doing one the other day, but I was like, oh, I don't have the editing down on the iPhone yet. Maybe there's a way once in a while, I think I posted a good drink, or I posted something I made the other day where I had some leftover roast chicken and a thing of salsa, like a fresh pico de gallo salsa in my refrigerator. And I realized how I could make an amazing chicken dish. I used to be a vegetarian, and I started eating a little chicken lately. And so I'm always trying to figure out how to be efficient, be healthy, and make something that tastes good, because I'm a real food snob. I won't eat it if it doesn't taste amazing. I'll take one bite and be like, not worth it.
Yeah.
With my metabolism, I have to be so choosy with what I eat. So I kind of put that on myself. I won't just eat anything. It has to be, but I also will eat it if it's complete junk food. If it's the best donut on the planet,
right.
I'll be in Nashville. I was like, I'm going to find the best fried chicken, or I love that stuff. But it has to be worth it. I'm not going to eat crappy food.
Yeah,
no way.
Next time you're in Nashville, I'll take you to the best donut that we've got. Have you been to? I think it's called Five Daughters. It's family owned, and their donuts are the best.
Are they? No, I went to a donut place in Nashville, and now I'm thinking of one from Vancouver. Let me bring my Nashville thing up. God. What did I do in that? I got really into fried chicken when I was in Nashville.
Oh, they have the best.
That was my thing. And
Hattie B's, hot chicken.
Yeah, I got into all that, and it's starting to really become national, this hot chicken thing. But it was fun to get into it. Nashville's a great town. I was I did 3 episodes of a TV show there, so I got to spend a month there. It was, and my kids came to visit, so that was fun too. But I loved Nashville. It was a town that was centered around music. And I was like, what a great town. It just was fantastic.
It is. It's growing, and we love it. We're getting more and more new restaurants, and more people are moving here.
You guys have that pancake house there.
Pancake Pantry.
Okay. It's over. That place is insane. Yeah. So I like that. I was worth it. I did gain weight while I was in Nashville.
I bet.
Pancake Pantry, man, that spot. When my kids came out there, they couldn't believe it.
Oh.
We went there. Oh, that's the best place. Lines around the block. I didn't mind.
It's very good. It's very good. I've been making this. I'll just put some chicken in a crock pot and pour and then shred it, and when it's done, and then pour some red enchilada sauce that's from a can. I go easy, but I love easy recipes. But I do.
Me too.
I do things that you can kind of make and then kind of do shortcuts and stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
I don't have time. I made a great soup this weekend. It's a Mark Bittman recipe. It's called Ribolita. Oh man, it's so good. It pleases so many people. And I had vegetarians there, and it has beans in it. And I opened the cans of beans. I'm not going to make beans on that. But I love all that stuff. I love cooking. In all honesty, I probably have maybe 30 shows that I never edited that still, because I'm like a crazy person. Every day I would film. I just you put a camera in my hand, it's my joy. So I had so many, and then I was like, I'm got so many, I don't even know what to do with these anymore. I have to,
You've got to put them on. Yeah,
I
totally.
know. One day I might edit.
Or give it to someone like an intern. Have it. Of course, you probably want to do it yourself.
No, one day, that's how the documentary I made on Basquiat came about, is I had all this footage just sitting in my closet. So, I think that one of the great parts about being a filmmaker is that, I have so much film. I have rooms filled with stuff I shot. So, I got one day, maybe even a Beastie Boys thing. I mean, I shot so much footage on them. Mike was smart to marry a filmmaker.
Yeah. You documented everything. Yeah. Well, I told you earlier that what's funny is I didn't even know who the Beastie Boys were, until I started watching you, which is totally backwards, because most people probably found you through them. And I found you first, and I was like, oh, she's married to that musician. I'll have to check it out. Yeah. Yeah, that was smart of him to marry you, because you've got all this. Oh
man, I shot a lot of footage. Yeah,
yeah.
I had the best time. It was a good run.
Yeah. Well, next time you guys are in Nashville, let me take you to the donut place.
Oh yeah,
get some donuts,
and then to the gym,
and then I'll get you. Yeah, I'll get you some passes to my gym and do some yoga, hot yoga. That's big here. Okay. So thanks so much. I appreciate you coming on. This has been fun.
You too. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Could you tell that I am a huge fan of this lady? She is amazing at what she does, and I loved that her life and career reflects exactly what I share with my life coaching clients. And that is that we have seasons in our lives that move us in different directions, and we can thrive wherever we are. If you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode, no worries, because all of the information from this show will be in the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com. Please consider supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on this show in the links provided in the show notes. Music is by Ben Sound, and this podcast has been sponsored by my business, Brentwood Life Coach, helping women see the big picture in their life and in their business. We also strategize with them to reach their highest level of contribution. If you're interested in a free 30-minute business and life coaching consultation, please visit CorrineSandifer.com and click on the Get Started button. Thanks for listening, and keep rising in your own story.